All right. Good morning. Thank you so much for attending. It's a joy to have so many of you with us during these COVID times. We have Kate who is speaking. She's going to present on a topic that I think so many of us are interested in, which is, so many of us bloggers. Her presentation is website optimization tips for bloggers. Right before we start, I want to thank our sponsor, Kinsta. Kinsta has kind of stepped forward to give us a Zoom account. And so we're able to have like meetups now, since so many of us are spread around the world and we can't meet in person. And those of us in New York City can't meet. This is such a wonderful ability to have this. So, a huge thank you to Kinsta. Also, they have a local development suite, which is Dev Kinsta. It's something that they wanted to share. It allows you to develop and test new sites locally, code and troubleshoot. You don't have to be a Kinsta customer to use the local development tools. It's 100% free and it's available to everyone beyond their customers. And I'm happy to share more information with you through Meetup. Now we're gonna have Kate speak, and Kate works for SiteGround, and they're another hosting company, and I'm sure she'll share a bit about the work that she does. I've had the pleasure of using SiteGround for a couple of years now, and it's been a really great experience, and they have a really kind and welcoming team, and they know their stuff. And so let me give you a little bit more about Kate. She's an affiliate partnership manager at SiteGround Web Hosting, one of the largest and high ranked providers out there. Kate, as her friends, her name is Katerina, but Kate, as her friends and colleagues call her, has been with the company for over 6 years now. She's developed her technical background working with companies, customer care and sales team for 4 years, where she managed to help thousands of SiteGround clients build and optimize their websites. Right now, Kate is more focused on building successful partnerships for the company, but still keeps her passion for the nitty-gritty of running a website alive. So welcome, everyone. I'm going to let Kate start her presentation.
Hi, everyone.
On mute. Okay, I'm going to go on mute, and if everyone can mute too, that will make everything easier. Thank you.
Okay, I will share my screen and start. Can you just confirm that you're seeing the screen correctly?
Yep, I see loading. Yep, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Well, hi everyone from me as well. Thank you so much for joining for my talk today. It's a real pleasure, and I wanted to personally thank Winstina for the invitation and this opportunity. I told her a bit earlier before you all joined, but I would have loved to be able to do this in person and meet all of you and network together, and also visit New York as well. But at the same time, it's great that we have this just the opportunity to join from so many places all over the world and have this event happening. I do hope that you gain a lot of useful knowledge and advice and be able to implement the things I'll tell you during my talk. This is the aim of my talk, is to provide you some practical tips that are especially tailored for bloggers, and they don't require any coding skills, but will help you check the performance of your website and as well optimize it and speed it up. As you heard, my name is Katerina. I have been with SiteGround for 6 years, and I'm very proud of it because SiteGround is about to turn 17 years old soon. I spent 4 of these years in our office in Madrid, in Spain. I used to live there. And afterwards, I moved back to Bulgaria, where our headquarters office is, and I joined the affiliates partnership team. And my job now consists in looking for new opportunities and finding new partners, and also communicating and optimizing the old ones. But I do get the chance to work with a lot of bloggers and YouTubers, agencies and team shops whom I help not only improve their monthly affiliate income, but at the same time, sometimes I assist them with questions related to website migrations or other maybe some technical difficulties that they may have. So this mix of working with our clients and our partners now has given me some knowledge that helps me not only help them sell our services and generate more income, but at the same time, I do help them often with optimization and performance. As you probably know already, the hosting plays a vital role when it comes to website performance. However, there is another part of it, which is to have a well-configured website. And so if you haven't set that as a priority, I suggest you that you should definitely reconsider and make the performance one of the priorities when it comes to your website. Like, I imagine that a lot of you are a lot more passionate about the design of your website, the visual aspect of it. This, of course, has a big impact on your visitors and it leaves an impression on them. But the performance is something that it should never be neglected, as it plays a vital role on your website. After all, people want to be on your website and they come to your website to do something. They want to be able to do it, whether it is to download an MP3, to watch a video, or read an article, or just to purchase something. If you slow them down, they might end up hating the experience, and this will eventually lose conversions or your audience. So have in mind that they have been also many studies that have shown the correlation between the website speed, how much time the user spends on the website, and what's his satisfaction from it. So if you have a high bounce rate, this usually indicates that the website is poorly constructed. And on the other hand, if you have a low bounce rate, this speaks that everything is running smoothly. In addition to all this, in 2010, Google added to their ranking algorithm the website speed as a factor. So if SEO is important for you, then speed definitely should be too. Now, the first thing to do would be to check the performance of your website. And I insist on this because many of you may load your website on daily basis, and it may look that the website is fast, but that doesn't. It's not necessarily always like that, because when you load your website many times, your browser most likely stores it in its cache, so every time it loads faster for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that a user which is located somewhere else in the world, like me, for example, I'm in Europe now, and if you have a website in the United States, I may not have the quite exact the same experience as you or someone that access your website from the States as well. So the good thing is that there is technology that can help with that, but I'll tell you later on about it. And another thing that we have to look for when we check the performance is that there are some factors that we can find out that we were not aware that can slow our website down, like a plugin, for example. There are quite a few tools that you can use for free. They're online. Obviously, they'll be online. You can use them to check your website performance. I've listed a couple of them here. They all provide a recording option, so you can make a test, record the results, then implement some of the things I'll tell you in my presentation, and then check the performance again and see the difference between the results. At the same time, for example, GTmetrix also allows you to to check your website, how it performs on different browsers, as well as on desktop or mobile display, which is a really great option. Now I have used here Pingdom just to show you how a website speed test looks, more or less. Make sure when you make a test to select the data center which is closer to you or to where your website is hosted. Here you will see a lot of numbers, but I would not go chasing numbers. My advice is to look if, for example, if your website loads for maybe 1 up to 2 seconds, you have done a good job. Of course, the loading time will be the most important thing that Google will take into consideration, as well as your visitors. And the good thing about these reports is that they have also a recommendation reports. They sort the results in order of severity. So here in this test, Pingdom suggests that we use and compress components with gzip, which is a compression that I will mention a bit later on. Now, before we dive into all the steps and tips I want to give you, I want to highlight something really important. It will be great if you develop a habit to back up your websites prior making any changes, because this will save you a lot of trouble and headaches at times, because sometimes things can get messy or something can break. So it will be great to have a backup so that you can revert to a previous state of the website when it was fully functioning. And normally a good hosting provider will offer such service, or it will have an option to create backups on demand. Alternatively, you can do them manually yourself. You can also install plugins that can do that for you as well. But yes, please make sure to develop this habit, because it's quite important, not only when making performance changes, but any type of major changes on your website. So I would like to start with the images. We all love them, and I'm sure that a lot of you have tons of them, maybe fashion, cooking or travel photographies on your sites, and I intentionally start with them. Actually, images are probably the biggest and the most common cause of large page size. And what happens is that when the browser gets a request from a visitor to open a certain website, the heavier the website or the larger the web page it is, the slower it's loaded on the visitor's end. And this happens especially if the visitor's connection is slower or not stable as well. So the more images you have on the home page, the longer it might load. Which is why we need to optimize our images, and therefore pretty easy ways to do that. We can reduce their dimensions, we can compress them, we can choose the right format for them, and we can replace the sliders with single static images. Now I'll go separately through these options. Oops. The first one would be to reduce the dimensions. One of the most common mistakes that people tend to do is to list thumbnails while still using the original uploaded file size, which is not needed. If you want to display an image that is smaller, just upload a smaller size, a smaller file. Don't upload a larger one and then reduce the dimensions with HTML or CSS. It just won't work as good as it if you just upload a smaller size. The next thing would be to compress the images. There are plenty of tools that can help you with that. The good news is that compressing images does not necessarily mean sacrificing their quality. these tools that I've listed here, what they do basically is to strip off the image out of all the unnecessary data that the camera stores when taking the picture. So imagine when this covers from the GPS location or where the picture was taken, the model of the camera, the type of the camera, just that kind of unnecessary information. So when you use compressing for images, as you can see from the example, the size gets significantly smaller. So this will eventually boost the performance because the files will be easily transferred to the visitor. As mentioned, choosing the right format for the images as well is very important. Here I've listed 3 types of formats. The PNG is an uncompressed file. As you can see, it's a larger file. Also, of course, it has higher quality and a lot more detail on the image, but is quite of a big file. On the other hand, we have JPEG, which is a compressed file. This normally takes off a bit of the details and the quality of the image. However, as you can see from the difference of the sizes, it's about 60% smaller than the PNG. And the WebP is it's a really cool new format. It's really exciting for most of the people that are into building websites or working in this industry, because this format, what it does is it decreases the size of the image files with between 25 to 35% and makes them significantly smaller and super fast to transfer. And the good news is that most of the main browsers already support this format, and shortly all of the browsers will be supporting the WebP format. And I'm quite happy because at SiteGround we have a plugin which is called SG Optimizer. It is developed in-house and it has a ton of settings and options that help with the website optimization. But one of the latest features that we added to it is that now it allows you to create WebP versions of your images with one click. And it's really cool because all of our customers are quite excited about it, to be able to do that just with one click for the entire website. Now, the thing I mentioned earlier, in my opinion, sliders are pretty cool. I really like them, especially depending on the website, but I think they look great. However, they use a lot of JavaScript to operate, and not all the plugins that allow this functionality on WordPress are in well-written code. So they can slow down your website significantly. And last but not least, they're not quite mobile friendly. So if your designs allow it, my advice would be to simply replace it with a single static image. Now, I hope you're already doing this, but in case you're not, videos also tend to be quite heavy files and very large data to be transferred to the visitor. So my advice is to, if you're not already doing it, just use external hosting providers for the videos that you're listing on your site. You can use YouTube or Vimeo. They handle the compression and the delivery quite well, and they do this without slowing down the rest of the content on your website. So it's their great option. Now, moving forward to a couple of different tips and advice I'll give. The first one will be to make sure that you minify your JavaScript and CSS files. CSS files are the ones that they they affect the presentation, the layout, the formatting, while the JavaScript is controlling the behavior of the elements. So if you're using, for example, a team that generates such operations or files, it's a must to minify them. You can do this with a variety of plugins. WP Rocket is a great premium one that you can use. The SG Optimizer, which is the one that SiteGround developed, I mentioned it earlier. It's free and it can be downloaded from the WordPress repository. The next thing to do, it's to enable caching. This is a very easy thing to do and probably one of the greatest technology that a good hosting provider would have integrated in its plans. How it works, basically, when you enable caching on your website, and without going through the whole generation process to load the website, once the cache is enabled on your site, after the first load of the website, the copy of the website is stored in the cache, so it will be served to every subsequent user, which will increase dramatically the overall performance for all the subsequent users that visit your website. Again, you can, if your hosting provider doesn't offer such a solution integrated with the hosting plans, you can use various plugins. One of the best ones are WP Rocket, which I mentioned. If this is outside of the budget, WP Super Cache is a fantastic tool as well. At SiteGround, we have our own caching plugin. It's called Super Cacher. And it does a pretty amazing job. When testing, we have seen website speed go down from 2-3 seconds to 0.5 seconds, which is absolutely great in my opinion. Now, another thing that is great to do for your site and for your performance is to enable CDN. Now, CDN stands for Content Delivery Network, which is basically like a network of servers that are distributed all over the world. So once it is enabled on your website, every visitor will be accessing the website from the closest to them point, which is great when we have different visitors or traffic from different geographical locations, because this will smoothen the experience for them in many, many ways. And if, again, most of the hosting providers also offer CDN for free with their plans. If you don't have it, I suggest you look for Cloudflare, Max CDN, or Amazon CDN. They're really good ones. For instance, we partner with Cloudflare. They have over 200 data centers already distributed all over the world. And they also have other options and settings that are quite good because they're related to security and protection, and this is pretty good as well. So it doesn't only work on the speed, it can help you secure your website additionally. I have a small tip here because not many people are aware of it when activating Cloudflare or CDN, any CDN. Make sure when you activate CDN to give it 1 or 2 days before you make another test on how your website performs. Because once CDN is activated, it takes this copy and distributes it to that huge network of servers, which means that it takes a bit more time to fully function. So this is my tip, just give it, let's say 24, 48 hours before you make another test to see the performance, because it's not instant as the other tools that we are talking about.
Katrine, I have a question. Can I ask?
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
I use SiteGround, and recently, like, in a couple of my sites, I had an issue with this Cloudflare, the CDN Cloudflare, and the WebP files.
Could we hold the questions until after her presentation is finished? And that way, just so that she can conclude, and then we'll accept questions right after.
All right, sure, no problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll continue after with the questions. Yeah, so another thing would be to enable zip compression. This is basically similar to how you zip files on your computer to save some disk space. On the web, we use zip compression. What it does is just to compress various types of files, and it makes it easier and faster to be transferred to the visitors. You can again use different plugins for that, like HG Optimizer, PageSpeed Ninja, also really great plugin for that. Now, Broadly is something that I'm really excited that I have a chance to talk about, because it's a next generation compression algorithm. It's far more faster than gzip, like it gains up to 15-20% more speed, or more speed than what you can get with gzip. This is it's a really cool thing. It's super new. It's developed by Google, and we already have it implemented on our server, so our customers can benefit from it already. A couple more things to help you improve the performance. One of them would be to reduce the number of posts on the index page. This is something that you can do from the WordPress admin dashboard. From the settings, reading settings, go to page blog pages show at most, and just change the value to the lower number. Similar to this, you can do with the volume of comments you get on your site. I know that communication is important. Communication with your customers or your visitors is important, but it's great if you can break the comments into different pages, because they add additional data to the homepage and HTML output to your file size, to your site size. So it's a good to have it broken into different pages. And you can do this from the WordPress dashboard. Now, this is something that I'm sure you know and you have heard before. Just make sure to minimize the use of external script, third-party tools, maybe like additional extra add places, fonts, or just make sure that you get to the minimum the use of those, like having the essentials, like one of them, for example, could be Google Analytics. And now we've come to a big chapter when it comes to website performance and optimization. These are the themes and the plugins that we are using. Now I know that a lot of teams, they're kind of like Swiss Army knives. They provide a lot of functionalities, and if you're not careful with that, you might end up having features that are developed for financial market, real estate, travel agency, and a yoga studio, while you're simply wanting to create a nice and clean blog. So make sure that you stick to a nice and light theme, because this will eventually benefit you in many ways when it comes to performance and speed optimization. Now, when you're choosing a theme, it's important to look for one that it's in the WordPress repository, my advice. If you're looking for a premium theme, make sure that it's from a well-known company, that it's reputable, it is respected, and has gained the trust of the WordPress community. My advice would be to not always trust unknown developers that, for example, they don't reply to their customers' comments, or there's no feedback on their products. And last but not least, make sure that the theme is mobile friendly. Most of the teams, they already have native mobile versions. This will also help you to test them on test the mobile performance as well. Now it's kind of the same when it comes to plugins. I've talked a lot about plugins today, but I think they're a great thing, but we also should be careful with them and don't overdo. I'll never forget a girl that came to us. She was desperate with her website. She wanted to move it to SiteGround for better performance, and she was like, I don't know what to do. Like my site is very simple. It doesn't have like a million views. It's like thousands of visitors, but still the website was like a true gem in design, super clean. And when I look at it, I was like, I don't understand. Like this website should load for like 0.5 seconds because it's really clean and nicely done. And the site was loading for, I think it was 7 or 8 seconds. So I was curious, and I wanted to look at it. What's happening? What's going on here? And when I looked into the files of the website, I found that she had installed more than 40 plugins on it. I think I don't remember if there were 46 or 48. It doesn't matter. But please never do this to yourselves. Most of those plugins, they were overlapping functionalities, so which means that you have absolutely the same plugins doing the same thing, just different plugins by different developers. So make sure when you have a plugin that has multiple functionalities, make sure that you use all of them. Don't go installing new ones and different ones. At the same time, it's important to get rid of the plugins that you're not using anymore or are no longer active, or you have decided to replace with something new, because this will add unnecessary junk on your website. And not only on your website, but every time you're creating a backup, you'll be generating that unnecessary junk, which will stay on your server. It will just get things slow and stagnant in general for you. And last but not least, I strongly encourage you to keep both your plugins and your themes up to date. Make sure when you get that alert that there is a new update for them, click on it, do the update, because most of the time when we have updates, they include security patches. They may include optimization improvements. They can fix bugs, and they can be also a combination of all of these things. So it's essential to do this, because at the same time, apart from keeping your site safe, it will also allow you to use other software. Like, for example, it could be the latest PHP version, which is not always compatible with older versions of certain plugins or themes. Now we have come to the last part. As I mentioned, the hosting, of course, it plays a really big role when it comes to performance. So you have to be very careful when you choose a hosting provider for yourselves. Before you go looking for a cheaper or unknown company that has no feedback, no customers' reviews, I would suggest you to inform yourselves well, to consider it also more like a business investment rather than a cost, because after all, this will be the home of your website, and at the end of the day, it has to be a nice home. Now, there are quite a lot of things to consider, or multiple factors to consider when it comes to hosting providers. For me personally, I believe that there are three main factors which are related to the technology, the security, and the support. Make sure that you choose a hosting provider that gives you the opportunity to host your site on a top-notch infrastructure that provides you speed enhancement improvements like the HTTP2, for example, the CDN, which is included in the hosting. We have a team that works constantly on innovating our infrastructure. And we secretly, in my team, we secretly call them the magic technical architects because they constantly invent stuff that are unheard of before. One of them was the PHP ultra-fast PHP, which we recently launched. And this is something that speeds up the website with up to 30%. And it's something that it has not been done yet anywhere else. Another thing that I was fascinated to learn about when I started at SiteGround was the invention of the shared hosting isolation, which is called chroot. Maybe you know of it, but this is something that SiteGround invented years ago, while nobody believed that this is possible. And nowadays, all the hosting providers use that isolation. Another of the things that I mentioned that is a vital factor is the security. Make sure that you have various layers of security, that your website is secured in many different ways, not only in the core as a server, but also that provides auto updates, security patches, SSL certificates if you want. And last but not least, which is something that is not related directly to the website performance, but I strongly encourage you to look for a provider that offers fast and expert WordPress support, because there will be times when you would need advice or you need help with something, and it is great to have a hand or a person to rely on that replies fast and actually knows what you're going through and what you need to be done. So I think this is for me. Thank you very much for listening. And of course, if you have questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Kate, for your presentation. We're going to have questions for 10 minutes. And after the 10 minutes, please feel free to send me an email with your questions, and I'll forward them to Kate so that she can answer them. I also plan on sending you some links to Kinsta's new, program that they're offering, and also the links to Tom, well, the emails of Tom and Andrea as well, for Kinsta's dev program that they're offering. So this is a great opportunity to talk to Kate about SiteGround. You heard some of the really great things that she had to say, so I'm just going to open up the floor and let her share with you. Okay, whoever wants to go first. Okay, there is silence, which is okay, because
I have a question.
Okay, I was going to read Tatiana's question, but sure, go ahead.
Hi.
Hello. I really enjoy your presentation. It was very informative.
Thank you, Pat, and nice to meet you. Thank you for listening as well.
Not a problem. I want to know with SiteGround, does your server operate on Apache or Lightspeed?
Our servers are functioning on Apache and Nginx.
All right.
Okay, that was
Thanks.
Yeah,
that was pretty much the.
Sorry,
all right.
I was out.
Yeah, it's basically it's kind of a stack from Linux, Apache, Nginx, and MySQL, but yeah, not Lightspeed. It's much faster than Lightspeed because we were that magic team of architects that I mentioned earlier. They constantly work and optimize our internal infrastructure. which makes it much more faster than Lightspeed servers.
Okay. Awesome. We have a question from Sharon, and her question is, when do I do speed tests on the common problems I see in redirects?
When do you do speed tests?
Mm-hmm.
Well, whenever you feel that your website is slowing down, even if it's not just the homepage, if you just see that there are pages that are slowing down, it may make a test with the different tools I mentioned, Pingdom, GTmetrix, or
that actually wasn't my question. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
So my question is, when I do a speed test, when I'm trying to make improvements, one of the errors that I see a lot is about redirect. How do I resolve redirect? Any advice on that?
But what are the redirects like? I mean,
it's a lot of images. It's usually image related.
Yeah, but do you use like external, like your website links to external website images, or what is it?
Unsplash. So
I'm sorry?
Yes, that's okay. You answered my question. So if I use like stock imagery, or if a client's using stock imagery and then I'm trying to improve their optimization,
because it will depend as well on how well the other website delivers the images, you know.
Okay.
This is the kind of the same with the videos. They're hosting providers or video providers like YouTube and Vimeo. Whenever you link to their videos, they handle their compression and delivery to the user really well, which is why it makes them so popular as well. I can remember the name of another video provider, like a platform for videos. But if you link a video from there to your site will just like your users never end up watching the video. I imagine would be the same case with you if you're using different places for images, which maybe they don't handle well that compression and delivery to your website.
Okay, so we have a few other questions as well. Sharon, I apologize for not reading your question correctly. Rather than read other questions out loud, could those of you who've dropped them in here ask them? We have about 3 or so minutes. I want to give you the opportunity to ask your questions.
This is Carl. I was going to ask a quick question on what you were talking about, downloading images and doing all these fancy compression things by taking out metadata. If you take out the metadata, how does that affect the abilities to make sure people aren't stealing the images? This is original art.
Well, you can always use captcha or other protection on your website that prevents people downloading your images. I mean,
okay.
Like there are tools that you can install on your website that will make it impossible for the user to download it, to click on it and download it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Some people use that for articles as well, so that you have no possibility to copy paste the text, for example. It's kind of the same with the images.
Thank you.
Are
Awesome.
those tools?
So there was someone who kind of asked a question during Kate's presentation. If you're still there, could you please ask your question?
Yeah, this is Archana.
Awesome, thank you, Archana.
Yeah, so recently, my couple of sites on SiteGround had an issue, like, with the CDN, basically, the icons, like I'm using Divi, so like the hamburger icons or other icons on Divi, they will be appearing sometimes on mobile, sometimes not, sometimes they disappear. Even on desktop, they will appear sometimes they disappear. So I figured it out, and, in some of the forums, and they said, like, you should off the CDN. And I did that and it worked. And then I spoke to SGRAP also, and they say it's a known issue with the WebP files and CDN. Are you aware of that? Or if you can, say something about that?
To be honest, I haven't heard of an issue related to Cloudflare and WebP, but if you can email me, I'll put my email on the screen. If you can please email me so that I can take a look at your account and check the conversation with the reps and see if what they found or what not, and get back to you. But yeah, I haven't heard of an issue related to Cloudflare and WebP so far. And we have it, yeah, we've been having it for quite a while now, so
Yeah, it happened like, in
investigate.
I think last August 2020 something, around that time. So I have to off the CDN and it worked. So
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Kate,
thank
for
you. Yeah, thank you. I'll email you. Thank you.
yeah,
Okay.
thanks for offering for her to email you. That's awesome. Is there anyone else who has a question that they'd like to ask before we end?
I put a question in the chat. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Lynn.
Yes, we can hear you. Hi.
So the question in the chat was that I'm running both Auto Optimize and W3 Total Cache. Sorry if this is an ignorant question.
There's no ignorant question.
That's why I'm here. So
Hey.
you talked about not having plugins that duplicate the functionality of other plugins. So without really understanding entirely what both of these do, can you comment on whether they do kind of overlap or not, and whether one's preferable to the other, or if there's a better solution in your opinion? Thanks.
Hi, thank you for the question. I haven't personally used Auto Optimize, but I've used W3 Total Cache, but Auto Optimize sounds like doing more or less the same. If you can tell, do you have any idea if it does caching or something, it optimizes other things?
I wish I could give you an intelligent response.
Okay, well, if you're not sure, I can, or you can, or I can Google it and see about the Auto Optimize, because it's the first time I heard of this plugin. So
very widely used.
I can't really tell you anything for sure. W3 Total Cache is also a good plugin. But if the other one is also doing caching, there's no need to have both of them active.
Yeah, I'm seeing some comments in the chat that this is not needed, which is strange because somebody who should have known better told me to get one, even though I had the other. But I'll look into it more. Thank you.
Good advice I also got was, if you have two similar plugins, deactivate the one that you're not using, so that way they don't conflict with each other.
Yeah. Sometimes they do that, like that's what makes problems with sites. If you have 2 or 3 plugins that do caching and you enable it at the same time, they just neither of them function well. So if I could also check what is that Auto Optimize plugin and email you, or you can email me and I'll have a look for it.
Yeah, thank you. It's very widely used. It has a lot of installs.
So can we use WP Super Cache with SG Optimizer, or SG Optimizer is good enough?
SG Optimizer is great, is good enough for me. I mean, they'll do the same thing with the Super Cache active on. It's like there's no need for you to have another plugin that does the same. Plus the optimizer.
Okay. Okay, so let's send all of our follow-up questions to Kate. That way, if you have any additional like follow-ups or questions, that way she can answer them. She's like, definitely expressed, like a willingness to follow up with you. All right, so everyone, thank you so much for being so engaged and asking all the questions that you have. Clearly, this is a topic that is relevant and it's been well received. The video recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel, and I'll also send the link out to everyone as well. So I'll send Kate's email to you. Even though it's on the screen, I'll send the link to the presentations, and then I'll also send you some information about Kinsta as well. It's been a pleasure. Thank all of you for making it in the morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are during these COVID times. Stay safe, take care of yourselves, and New York City is happy to have had you join us. Okay, thank you, Kate.
Thank you all as well.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure being with you.